the Joy Perspective, the podcast where I share life's challenges, things I've learned through years of personal development, and help others shift their perspective and find their joy. I'm Lauren Valdez, and together we'll dive into how changing the way we think can unlock possibilities, spark creativity, and transform the everyday. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. I want to share with you guys something that I discovered this week, just days ago. I've done a lot of personal development, a lot of coaching, and for some reason, in listening to Mel Robbins' new book, Let Them, there was this little tip that she shared that really just helped me uncover something that I've been struggling with all week. And we're going to dive into that. And the method that she talks about is called the 5 Whys method. Now, in her book, there's tons of things. If you have never listened to Mel Robbins or read her books or anything, followed her on Instagram, you are missing out. She is incredible. She does tons of research to back what she is saying. And this 5 Why method, let me tell you, I was struggling all week long to record this podcast. Why? Well, while I was on my run, I was listening to her book and I got to that point and I paused it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go through the 5 whys and figure out why it's been so hard. And then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to do that method right here on this recording with you guys today. And I'm going to help you guys see the exact method that will help get you guys unstuck or understand why something upsets you or why you're procrastinating on something. For me, I was pushing off doing this podcast all week long. Now, granted, I'll give myself some grace. It was a busy week. It was a crazy week with work. And as much as I love my job, I can't say that's the reason why I wasn't doing this podcast. Yes, I was busy. Yes, there was a lot going on. But the reality is I was putting this podcast off for something I believe is a more deeper reason. And while I was on that run, I did it once. I asked myself why. And the very first one uncovered something for me. So let's go through this together so that you guys can learn to adapt this 5 why method to so many different areas of your life. In the book, Mel Robbins talks about, some hard conversations with the ones we love the most. She talks about how you can't motivate people to do things. Instead, you can inspire them to do things. And then she goes through this ABC method and the 5 whys in having the conversation with those people. So there's many areas you can apply this. I highly recommend grabbing her book if you haven't already, listening to that. But here's the 5 why method for me in this podcast. So I'm going to be doing it with myself. I thought about trying to drag one of my kiddos or my husband into this just to ask me the question why, but I'm going to do it myself. So why were you putting off recording your podcast all week? Truthfully, I was unmotivated with the content that I've already prepared. I prepare content or try to prepare content so that I can put the research or the personal development books or the coaching things that I've learned into those. But when looking at those, I was just really uninspired. Nothing was really speaking to me. So then I would ask myself, why again? Why? None of it seems to be fully passionate and developed right now. And I want to be open, honest, and vulnerable with my audience. And I don't want to just do something that's prepared just because it's prepared. I want to be authentically me. Ooh, I'm already tearing up. What is happening right now? Why? Why do I want to be authentically me? Ooh. It's important to be true and honest to yourself, and not just do things that other people want you to do or what pressures of this world might be pushing you to do. And I don't want to fall into that. I don't want to fall into the pressure of getting something done just to get it done. I want to do it out of passion and inspiration and true to me. Why? Oh man, I did not expect to get all emotional in this. Because I want to be real with my audience. I want people's lives to be inspired and encouraged through the real me and the real life lessons that God and all of the things I've been through have brought me. Didn't know this was going to go here, but I'm going to go there. You know, my whole life, I've just wanted to be good enough. I remember being a young girl and just trying to get straight A's, trying to get involved in different clubs and sports and things like that. And I just wanted to be good enough for my parents. You know, we grew up in, I don't want to say complete chaos because it wasn't complete chaos, but we grew up with inconsistencies, I'll say. And without diving too deep into my family history, the biggest thing was I wanted to be good enough, and I wanted to do whatever it took to be good enough. And so I've always prided myself, I don't know if that's the right word, but on just achieving and doing more and being better and pushing myself to do more and more and more. And as I get older, I realize that has kept me sometimes from being fully present with my family, with my friends, with life, always striving for more and for better. And when it comes to this podcast, I want it to be, not just this podcast, when it comes to my life right now, I'm really working on being authentically me and finding the things that bring me joy, like sitting on the couch, enjoying a cup of coffee while I listen to my kids laugh and play. And the old me would say that that's not being productive. But what I've discovered is that is being productive. Sometimes slowing down and enjoying the little things is productive. So when it came to this podcast and just using one of the ones I've previously prepped, which is great content, don't get me wrong. I know those episodes are going to help and inspire others. But I didn't feel like I was in a space where I was passionate about those topics to be able to deliver the best on my podcast. And I don't want that. I don't want to be productive for the sake of being productive. I could ask myself why one more time. But I think that hit it. I think that hit it for me. I was putting off recording this podcast because I didn't want to be productive to be productive. But I wanted to be real. And when I was out on my run and listening to Mel Robbins' book, this 5 whys really stuck out to me. Because this is something we can do. Not everything has to be emotional. Let me start there real quick. Not everything has to be emotional or deep or whatever. But when something is bothering you, ask yourself why. You know, I had a conversation with a friend this week about why something was bothering her. And I said, just because those are your expectations of how someone would respond, doesn't mean they know that or that they hold those same expectations. And what I should have been asking her is, why? I should have just led her down the path of why. And I think maybe the real reason that she was upset was because she wants meaningful and emotionally connected friendships in her life right now. And she's not feeling like she's getting that from her friend. And I have a whole series on relationships that I would love to go down because relationships are hard. Friendships alone are hard. But that emotional connectedness, I think, is what she's really longing and seeking. And we could have gone down a path of that so that she would realize what it is that's really bothering her. So I'm going to pivot just a little. I'm going to go through a few things that I think could help. We talked about how the 5 whys method was a method that Toyota kind of developed to work on the problem solving process. But this same process, as you saw for me right now, it really helped me uncover. I just want to be authentically me with you guys. And so let's talk about how asking ourselves why in a curious way is different than asking ourselves why in a judgmental way. I wasn't judging myself when I was asking why. And that's hard. I am very hard on myself. And so to go down this 5 why process and not ask, remind yourself, like, you're not judging the response that you get, whether you're talking to someone else or talking to yourself. You're not judging the answer. You're simply just trying to get them to uncover the why beneath it. So stay away from the judgmental side and really stay in that world of curiosity. And then also grace. Like, give yourself grace. You'll probably hear me say this on every episode because as someone who's really hard on themselves or has been really hard on themselves, I've had to learn how to give myself grace constantly. Like, constantly. So use this 5 whys method as a way of, like, being compassionate with ourselves, bringing clarity to things, and then don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be a tool to help you overthink. Queen of overthinking. You don't need to overthink it. You're simply just trying to get to the root of it. Because until you get to the root of it, this is what I've kind of learned. Until you get to the root of it, anything else that you do to try to fix it is just masking the real reason underneath. And we don't want to just sit here and mask them. We want to get to the real reason so that we can move forward. How to use the 5 whys. So some practical steps is to start with a surface level issue or a feeling. Like for me, it was this procrastination. And then gently ask why. And then whatever answer comes to mind or whatever answer is given, then you just ask, why is that? And you keep going down this. And then listen to yourself. Like, I felt like when I got to that point, I felt like that was true and that was genuine and that was enough. I didn't have to keep going. It doesn't have to be 5 whys and then you're done. Sometimes it could be 10 whys before we truly get to it. Sometimes it could be 3 whys until we truly get to that. So listen to yourself or the person who is sharing, or if you're whoever you're going down this 5 why with, and listen for when you finally feel like you've reached the real root of it. And then here's a big careful. Don't get stuck in a loop. Don't get stuck in a loop. So I will tell you, sometimes what looks like procrastination is actually fear. And fear always has a story to tell. If we're brave enough, we ask why. For mine, I was fearful. I was fearful that I was going to be inauthentic to myself. So when I got to that point right now with you guys, that's it. I now know I need to keep being authentically me and speaking on what is passionate to me at that time, what I feel I can be most authentic on. I'm not going to go through this whole loop again, right? I don't want to get stuck in this loop or overthinking my emotions. I just simply want to use it as a tool to get to the real root so that I can move forward. And then I mentioned how it's important to get to the root of it, but it also helps create clarity. If I didn't get to the real root of it, I would mask, right? We just talked about that. But I would also fall into this same scenario maybe in 2 weeks when I go to record, or a month when I go to record, and I'm procrastinating. But now I know I just need to record when it's real, when it's raw, when it's authentic. and make time for that, because that clarity that I just gained is going to help me from falling into this procrastination again. That clarity is going to drive me to be more intentional and more aware of what I need in order to have the motivation to be able to record when I want to record. So the 5 whys isn't about overthinking. It's about uncovering the tender truth underneath the noise, underneath the procrastination for me. It's uncovering the tenderness, the raw. When we get curious instead of critical, our stuck places become a starting point. Like I don't know, like, I don't know if you could see it for those watching on YouTube, but like I feel like there's this energy inside my body right now that's like, yes, this is it. I have the research, I have the planning done on a few more podcasts. But honestly, I think that like this has given me such a joy right now and such a like direction of like, I'm going to go back. You guys, I used to journal all the time when I was like 13 or 14. I'm going to go back. I've tried journaling as an adult sometimes here and there, but I don't make the time for it, to be completely honest with you. It hasn't been a priority. But now I know. I think that's where I'm going to go. This has given me clarity. This has given me joy. This has been a place to give me a starting point. I'm going to start journaling, and the things that start coming up are how I'm going to grab the next episode, whether it's one of the prepared ones or a new one that I create, just like this 5 whys one. Thank you again, Mel Robbins. So for you guys, remember, asking why again and again can be the kindest way to come home to yourself, to be true to yourself, to uncover all the masking you've probably put on those things for so long and find out the true, real root of it. And you don't have to fix everything. You just have to understand what needs your attention, or what you need in order to move forward in that area. I feel like I am on this new path of understanding, like, I don't know. When I first started this podcast, okay, I'm like, 9 episodes in. But when I first started, those first couple were just like these passion projects, this excitement, this, I had so much that I just wanted to like get out to people. And I still do. Like I said, I still have those prepared ones, but there was so much excitement fueling me. So much, I was just trying to think of this word in my head. I'm like, what is that called? So much like genuineness. You guys can correct me in the comments on that one. But like, I was so genuine in them. And then I was starting to do what I do in my life, where I just put productivity first. I have to produce. And that's not true. That's not true. This 5 why method just brought me clarity, brought me a plan, brought me direction. So right now, while you're listening to this, I want you to think about 2 things. I want you to think about for yourself personally, what's one thing you could go down this 5 why method? But also a friend of yours, or a spouse, or a kid, right? I sort of did this with my son the other day. He was telling me something, and I said, well, why? And he gave me an answer. And I couldn't just say, well, why? Again, he would definitely be like, what are you doing? So I said, why do you think that is? So he gave me his answer. And then I was like, oh, I might be pushing it, but I'm going to go for a third. And I just said, what did I say? I said, why did that happen? Or why did that, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, why did that something? Why did that make you feel that way? Why did that? And he got to like, by the end of it, he like got up and walked away. I didn't even have to intervene with him and his sister. It was something between him and his sister. So think about a way that you can use this with yourself. And don't just ask yourself why. But even how I framed those questions with my son. Why do you think that happened? Why did that make you feel that way? And then to get started, if you're like, I don't know where to start on this, like think about something that's been bothering you lately. What has been bothering you lately and you don't know why? What's something that you feel like you really need to uncover for yourself? Or even like I think about my husband and I, right? As we plan for our future and we plan for, our big goals in life, I think about like us asking these questions together, like, why is it that we want that? And talk about it. Why is that important to us? And we can talk about that. Maybe a third, fourth, fifth time we ask ourselves why, in order to really get very clear and very focused on what the real root that we're working toward is. So I'm going to take a deep breath. Just took a deep breath, but we're going to take another one. And we're going to give ourselves permission to get real, to get raw, to get vulnerable. This is really hard for some people. And I'm going to throw a little nugget in there. It's really hard until you keep trying. It's really hard until you keep pushing yourself to do it again and again and again. So deep breath. Give yourself the ability to be real, to be raw, to ask the 5 whys of yourself or of somebody else. And find the joy. Find the joy in it, because procrastination, I was so fearful of not being real and authentic with my audience. And it was stealing the joy in my podcast. Can you believe that? How rude. But this has allowed me to unlock that joy again and have that clarity. I really hope you guys take the time to dive into the 5 whys for yourself first, and then for others in your lives. Life is so busy and so crazy. And I don't think that we have enough time to keep wasting on wondering, why is it that I keep doing this? Why is it that upsets me? Why is it, when we now have the tool to quickly get to the root of it? Why is it? Why is it that you feel that way? Why did that happen? So ask yourself those. No more wasting time. Let's find the joy that is in every day.
Thank you for joining me today on The Joy Perspective. I hope this episode helped you shift your mindset and find a little bit more joy in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meet Lauren Valdez for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Until next time, keep shifting your perspective and finding your joy.